Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. Chioma Adaku Griffin, and you are at the Taste of Africa, where we are celebrating the legacy of Joseph Jenkins Roberts, who is the first president of Liberia, native of Norfolk, but he lived here in Petersburg. We gather to celebrate the life of Joseph Jenkins Roberts, a man born of Virginia soil who became the founding father of the Republic of Liberia. This event is more than just a feast. It is a remembrance of the resilience, intellect, and ambition that traveled from the streets of Petersburg to the shores of West Africa. The interesting thing about this whole project, guys, is that I became involved with Joseph Jenkins Roberts by way of pursuing Petersburg being sister city to Liberia. And so in that process, we did receive a proclamation last year on June 19th to say every year we will be celebrating the life and legacy of Joseph Jenkins Roberts. And so that's how this all got started. You hear my name, Chioma Adaku Griffin. Nigeria, Igbo tribe, for those that wonder. All from Tennessee. How about that? So I love my culture. I love learning more about the history of Africa, our native place of birth. We hear a lot of African Americans here in the States say that they're not connected to Africa because they really don't understand the history. Our history didn't start with slavery. So that's the first thing I want to be able to say to everybody. It did not start with slavery. Liberia was founded by freed African Americans and Africans, not slaves. Freed African Americans and Liberians. And the interesting thing is it was started by Marcus Garvey. He didn't start Liberia, but he started a voyage where he wanted to take African Americans back to a native land, which is Liberia. And I'm so excited about it because in hindsight, you think when you're involved with things, it's like, how am I involved and how is this connected to me? So with this, I started Pan-African Chamber of Commerce, where I wanted to take college students over to Africa, one of the countries who ever responded to be able to start businesses. That's how Pan-African Chamber came. So then we go down a little bit and start connecting Africa to Petersburg, and that's when I found out about Joseph Jenkins Roberts, thus being Taste of Africa, why we're here today. A libation ceremony, and that's a ritual to invite the ancestors and honor the spirits of Joseph Jenkins Roberts. So we do that by pouring water into the gourd. So, no, I got it. Thank you. You want to help me, sis? I think I got it. Yeah. Yes, that would be an honor. Come on. Princess. So this is really an honor, everybody, that the princess of which country?
Benin and Togo, and crowned by Ghana for the king.
So the honor of that is we're here today honoring a African legacy, Joseph Jenkins Roberts, who was born in Norfolk. I'm here as an African American trying to trailblaze my connection to Africa. And now we get to do a libation by a whole princess. How unique is that, y'all? So here we go. We're going to put it in the gourd. We pour this water to freshen the road for those who came before us. Water is a symbol of life, and it connects the rivers of Virginia to the Atlantic and the coast of Monrovia. Monrovia is the place, the city where Joseph Jenkins Roberts stayed. We call upon the ancestors of the African diaspora who crossed the great waters and maintained their dignity through the storm. I say, y'all repeat, I say. We call upon the spirit of Joseph Jenkins Roberts, born free in 1809,
who took the education and trade he learned in Petersburg and used it to build a sovereign nation. I say. We call upon the families of Petersburg, the free people of color who, like Roberts, dreamed of a land where their liberty was absolute. I say. We pour for the continuity of our culture that our children may know their history from the Appomattox to the Missouri. I say. Okay. There we go. Thank you.
So let me give you a little bit of history about Joseph Jenkins Roberts. Before he was a statesman, Roberts was a riverman. He spent his youth in Petersburg, Virginia, working on flatboats on the James River. He was an apprentice to William Colson, a prominent black barber and minister in Petersburg, whose private library provided Roberts with the education he couldn't get in public schools. In 1829, at the age of 20, Roberts left Petersburg on the ship Harriet. Imagine, I'm gonna pause right there. I'm gonna park my moped and say, y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Roberts left Petersburg on the ship of what? Harriet. Harriet being a woman who erected the Underground Railroad and did the things she did. He wasn't feeling just to escape. He was sailing towards the prominence of self-governance. In 1848, Roberts became the first president of Liberia. He was a master diplomat traveling to Europe to secure recognition from the Queen Victoria and Napoleon, ensuring Liberia's place on the world map as Africa's first independent republic. I'm gonna park my moped again. First independent republic. Hold that place marker for Liberia because that's who it is. He founded Liberia College and served as its first president, believing, as he learned in Petersburg, that education is the bedrock of freedom. As we enjoy the flavors of the continent today, remember that the taste of Africa is also the taste of perseverance. Joseph Jenkins Roberts proved that a boy from the docks of Virginia could become the architect of a republic. May is his legacy inspire us to build our own greatness. So I say again, that's just a small piece of history about Joseph Jenkins Roberts. And there's so much more that I can say, guys. But I'm trying not to stuff. We call it stuffing. We don't need all the extra. We want to be able to enjoy the food that's provided by our wonderful sister Ann, enjoy the company, and also our helpers that's here today to join us. A lot of work that we're doing here. So we have the Taste of Africa. I also have a behavioral health agency that I provide integrated care and supportive housing to people in transition. I'm working on Creative Learning Lab, which is a STEM micro school program that will be offered in August. So I say all of that to say that we take the pieces of Joseph Jenkins Roberts where he became educated, went home and became the president of the college, and he tied his love for education into everything else that he was doing. Again, I am Dr. Chioma Adaku Griffin, and now I take the time to allow you to do the welcome. So this is Miss Winters, and she is one of the princes, and I want her to tell her story of the great collaboration that Hampton Roads just did involving our African culture. So I'll let her say what she needs to say, and then we'll kind of move through the process.
Forgive me for the paper. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and honored elders and members of our global African family. Good day. I greet you with respect, gratitude, and great joy. I am Her Royal Highness Princess G. De Poo. I'm the first princess to be crowned October 2025 in Hampton, Virginia on American soil. That was a moment that symbolized the enduring connection between Africa and Africa diaspora. Before we continue, it is very important that I recognize a distinguished royal guest joining us this evening. We are honored to have Her Royal Highness Princess Asantwa Azawabi of Togo, founder of the international initiative Speak Up for a Change. Stand up, please. This unit, Princess Azawabi has worked across Africa, Europe, and United States to uplift communities by creating safe spaces, mentoring young leaders, and strengthening families and connecting people with resources and opportunities. Her work reminds us that when people are truly heard, healing, dignity, and progress can follow. So we acknowledged her. And before I can even continue with this historic moment, I would also like to recognize a visionary leader who helped bring this gathering together. We're honored to acknowledge Dr. Chioma,
Adaku.
because you know I'm going to say Adaku Griffin, the organizer of this event and distinguished leader, author, advocate in behavioral health and community service. I had the privilege of meeting her and working for her. She's a brilliant person. I love her. Brilliant. And I will follow her to the moon, even if we disagree. I'll follow her. But Dr. Griffin is the founder and CEO of Here For You LLC and a trauma-informed behavioral health agency dedicated to supporting individuals and families through integrated care, peer recovery services, and I'm sorry, y'all, I had to use it on paper, supportive housing initiatives. With more than 20 years of experience, she has devoted her career to improving mental health services, mentoring future leaders, and creating innovative programs that help communities heal and thrive. In addition to her leadership, she is also the visionary behind Creative Learning STEM Labs, an initiative designed to empower youth by merging education and mental wellness. Am I correct? In addition to her leadership in healthcare and community service, Dr. Griffin is also an author, using her voice and scholarship to contribute to meaningful dialogue and community empowerment. So please join me in recognizing her and applause. And now, it is my great privilege to introduce a remarkable leader whose life reflects service, faith, and entrepreneurship, as well as cultural unity. Her Royal Majesty, Queen Mama Fiongo I, Valerie Beverly. So at this time, please rise and applaud our on American soil, Queen. Can you please roll call with me and say Africa,
Africa
and unity.
and unity.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to cut across the field because I asked Dr. Griffin what would she like me to talk about today, and she said you could talk about whatever you want to talk about. But we would be remiss if we did not honor the legacy of Joseph Jenkins Roberts, which she already has talked about his legacy. So I'm going to cut across the fence, and I'm going to add him in, but I'm not going to talk all the things that I had to say about him because I don't want to be repetitive. Again, I am honored to be here today with our distinguished guests, elders, community leaders, and members of our global African family. Today, we are not simply remembering history, we are honoring a journey of a people, a journey that crossed oceans, endured unimaginable struggle, and ultimately rose to build nations. I stand before you today with my new name, Queen Mama Fiongo I. I accepted this historic role on October 18, 2025 in Hampton, Virginia, with humility, gratitude, and a deep commitment to honoring our shared history and strengthening the connections between Africa and the African diaspora. I was crowned, I cannot pronounce his whole entire name, but just get this, King Fiti V. And he is over all the kings, sultans, sheiks, and princesses, everybody of mostly West Africa. So you can look him up. I can't pronounce his whole African name. I apologize for that. I will learn it one day. What I want to say for me, it's really a symbolic and kind of out-of-body experience to go through this process that I've been going through of being crowned a queen. We have all heard that we come from royalty, right? Mm-hmm. And I was saying to somebody one day, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know. I've seen it on TV, but I don't know the experience of that. And so now I feel the weight of it because it's so incredibly important that we here in America begin to honor who we really are. Our whole identity and humanity was stripped from us. And we are in an identity crisis now, but we don't even know who we are. That's why all this mental health and everything that's going on, we have never seen what we are seeing now in the African American community because it was smothered for so many years, but now it has festered to the top. And so we see so many different types of things that we are shocked, right? We are shocked, but we are supposed to be our brother's keeper, right? And sister's keeper. So let me just, I'm cutting across, but I'm going back and forth. And one thing I want to talk about is Hampton, Virginia, is where the first slaves came through. They came through. They call it Fort Comfort. It's actually Fort Monroe. That's where the first group of 20 came through, and they walked through. So if you visit there, you can actually, they call it the African Landing. And they actually have a ceremony every year to honor that in August with the soil. They blend the soil. And they actually have a project getting ready to happen where they are taking our soil back to Africa to mix with their soil, the way ours was mixed with theirs. So it is the earliest arrival points of enslaved Africans in what will become the United States, tied to such a painful history of the transatlantic slave trade. Yet today we are standing being crowned. I was being crowned on that very soil. And like I said, I feel the full weight of that moment now. This once was a place of connection to bondage, became a place where an ancestral daughter of the African diaspora now stands crowned in honor of dignity and leadership. And I want to cut through again. When I met Princess Ajuwazi, I just thought I knew her from somewhere, didn't know where, but I told her, I don't know what this is, but I knew her. And it's crazy because my family, my ancestral background goes back to Benin and Togo. My grandfather, which is only 2 generations away from me, his family was taken there to the Caribbean, to Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago. That's how close it really is, you know, in your upbringing. His family literally was taken and enslaved by English slave masters there. And so when I met her, I didn't know what the bond was, but as we began to talk, I knew that was it. So God makes no mistakes in what he does, right? And so that was a moment for me. And so I jumped on board with her to help her push her initiative, Speak Up for Change, because I think it's so important for us to come together, people here in America, people that come here from Africa, and get rid of all these misunderstandings, miscommunications. I don't think we understand each other because we don't talk to each other. We say Africans are scam artists, or we don't care nothing about them. They say we lazy, we selfish. And none of us really understand each other. But the one thing we should know is that we all come from the same place. We have a shared history, whether you acknowledge it or not. And so I'm going to go off again. When the kings were here, with several kings here, and we took them and they visited Fort Comfort and the museums, they did not understand what happened when our people were taken from Africa and when they got here. And so that was a moment for me to make me understand that this is it. It's a miscommunication, because he saw a statue of colonial, children and what they called the mother. She was an African woman but they were in colonial clothes. And he was confused because he said, what is this? And we said, that's their clothes. He says, that's not their clothes, right? Because it was shocking for him. This was just a statue. Then he went around and he sat down. And he sat down about right here, and it's a wall right here with all the names of the people, 20 names. But guess what? They changed their names to what American names were. And he said, what is that? And we said, that's their names. And he banged twice and he said, that is not their names. And it was very painful for him because I think it started resonating with him what had actually happened. You may have heard it, but you know, if you don't have the power of the pen, then you don't really understand it. African history is told by mostly griots. So it's an oral history. It's not a whole lot written, and the same came here. But just can you imagine when we were here, when our ancestors came here, our language was stripped from us. Our clothing, our customs, our culture, our God even. Everything that we knew was stripped from us until we had no identity. And I feel like we are in that place again. Like we truly do not understand our identity. And so being with the king for a week, he explained to me, he said, you don't understand, but you all are the descendants of the Africans, of the ancestors of no return. So they didn't realize that people weren't coming back. They didn't even really know what happened to them. They heard, but you know, we didn't have social media then. So getting information could took a year or two. Who knows? You know, a lot of us didn't know we were freed after the Emancipation Proclamation, right? So information was not readily available. And so here we are now where we have access to pretty much all the information that we would need, right? But you gotta sift through it. Everything you read on social media is not true, y'all. You need to do research. When you go to the books and you go to the writings of these people, it's so important because they were living it. They were living history. And those are the things that we need to be reading, not what we're hearing now where our history is being disregarded. And if you notice, we are, again, the only group of people whose history they want to get rid of, right? We are the only group of people. And why is that? We feed into their hands with the things that we have going on in our community. Time, we good on time? Okay. I just want to make sure before I really hit into some more topics. So y'all forgive me, but like I said, I'm cutting across many things because I had a lot to say, but I was trying to not make it too long, too preachy, but sometimes we gotta hear the word, right? So it's two things that came to me that I really know we need to talk about is, are we our brothers and sisters keeper? And what is community to us? Right? What is it? What is it? What is it? And the reason I went to this is because I gotta use my Bible. I'm sorry, y'all. Because we learned early in the Bible from Cain and Abel, right? About being your brother's keeper. And he talks right in the beginning, after Adam and Eve did what they did. Then you got Cain and Abel, right? And the Lord said unto Cain, this is in Genesis 4, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? Well, darn, aren't we still here today? I just want to briefly talk about that because if you look at our statistics, Petersburg, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Hampton, Newport News, we are killing one another at an alarming rate. Alarming rate. I still don't understand how we walk up to somebody that looks like us, who has something in common with us, and we can kill them. It's something wrong, right? Something has morphed in our conscience that has allowed us to be this. That was the first murder in the Bible. And guess what? We're still doing it today. And what's important about that is what God was talking about. The reason it all happened is because Cain got mad at his brother, Abel, because he gave an honorable sacrifice to God, right? He gave God everything he had. And Cain didn't want to give him his best, right? So he got jealous because God was rewarding Abel and talking to Abel. So here we have the first murder, but what did we have? Envy, jealousy, strife. Are we still not doing that? We cut our brothers down, cut our sisters down. You don't want to see Dr. Chi-Chi. I'm going to call her Dr. Chi-Chi today. We don't want to see her do well, so we want to come in and do her wrong. What's wrong with us? Where did we get that from? She's a visionary. She makes stuff happen, right? So sometimes you have to be faithful over someone else's, right? Until you can get your own. But we don't work like that now. We steal, we backbite, we talk about she this, she that, she. Where did we get this from? That should not be what we look like, right? Especially after 400 years of what we're experiencing, right? What is the consequences of this? After lying and to God, because when he said, "Am I my?" He told me he didn't know where his brother was. He told me God, and so he said, God banished him to wander the earth. After that, and what it goes back to is how do we resolve human conflict, right? So that's what spiraled me into this, because we're doing the same thing. We're going to kill them first. That's how we are resolving conflicts over nothing. It's shameful. We should be ashamed as a people that we have lost our way to where we are killing one another. I understand the police, I understand what's going on, but I'm just talking about us right now. Sometimes we need to get a good kick in the butt. Somebody need to wake us up and tell us to stop. Stop. I know when I was growing up, and the dealers would come down the street, or they would be doing whatever on our street. And I grew up in New York, right? So I'm from South Jamaica, so I ain't miss a whole lot, right? My grandmother called out that window. She'd be sitting at that window. You better get that mess off my street, because I'm going to call the police on you. It wasn't a lie. They called her mother. Even when I went away and when I would come back, and people would be like, who car that? Because they don't know who car it is. You might get stripped down. And they said, oh no, that's baby girl. Can't mess with her car. Because my grandmother had street cred from the window. From the window. I'm not kidding. Miss Daisy had street credit from the window. Didn't nobody walk down that street and disrespect her. They ain't call back up and cuss her out. They would say, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And they would go. I mean, go. Get away. Because you couldn't bring that on her street. Where are the mothers at now? Half of us don't even know where our kids are. Right? We don't even know what they're into. But we got to change something. The second thing I really wanted to talk about now, talk about human conflict, how we're not resolving it, is community. Africans, we are tribal people. We are communal people. We commune together. And we done got all tied up into this Western colonization mind that they done told us is every man for themselves. Get your bag and keep moving. That's where we at. Because everybody is thinking individually. That's not how we were taught. I'm just gonna tell you, we won't talk that way. When grandma got sick, who was gonna take care of her? She didn't go to a nursing home. We had to, everybody had to ante up and do what they had to do. I can remember at one time, both my grandmothers were taking care of their mothers, because my great-grandmothers both lived to right at 100 years old. And I watched them care for their mothers. And so I often wonder, what are we doing? Because we don't care for our elderly anymore. they're a problem. They get on our nerves. Because guess what? Our mind is on what we got to get out here. So we missed a lot. And we've been taught, I call it a colonized mind. Because if we weren't, we wouldn't be acting the way we act. If you go to Africa, and I've not been there yet, but everybody that I meet that has been there talk about how community they are, how they embrace us when we come, and how they want to share, and how they want, because that's the people that we were called to be, right? But we've shifted and we've missed something. And so, of course, like I said, briefly, I'm going to go here again. I'm going to Acts chapter 4. And this talks about when the first church was created, right? And there's some principles here that I want us to know. Acts chapter 4, if you go to verse 32, it says, "And the multitude of them that believed were of one heart and of one soul. Neither said any of them that aught of the things which he possessed was his own, but they all had things in common. And with great power gave the apostles witness of the resurrection of the Lord Jesus. And great grace was upon them all. Neither was there any among them that lacked. For as many as were possessors of land or houses sold them, and brought the prices of the things that were sold, and laid them down at the apostles' feet. And distribution was made unto every man according as he had need." Do y'all understand what they're saying there? That was community. That anybody that was there was community. Everything we had was enough for everybody because God made it enough. And I think we have missed our boat today as to what is really important. We don't have to have lack in our community, but we do. But we do. Because we're chasing a wealth that somebody told us is important that don't really matter in that sense. Because if we're community and if we commune with one another, we all have enough. Right? We all have enough. And so I just want to say these things today because I want us to start thinking differently. You know, somebody was talking to me about what's going on and how we're fearful and whatever. And I said, God didn't give us a spirit of fear, right? No, but of power and of love and a sound mind. Where's our sound mind? We don't have sound minds no more. So that's why we can't. That's why we're fearful. That's why we're upset all the time. That's why we're in chaos. That's why we can't find our way. Because we're fearful of the unknown, right? But we don't have to because I can just tell you this. God got a destiny for each of us. He got a destiny, a plan, and a purpose for us. If you know that, you can move in that. But there's so many distractions around us right now. We get distracted by the negative things. And then people looking at us. And I have to keep using Dr. Chichi as an example because when she lived in Hampton Roads, I watched some of the things happened to me. One day she could just tell me, she said, they know who you are. She said, they know who you are. Most of them just jealous. And I had not thought of it in that sense. But we were talking about something business-wise, and she said, they literally know who you are. Everybody knows who you are. But I didn't feel like they did. And it wasn't that I cared that everybody knew. But it was just some things that are baffling. I'm like, well, what's all of this about the negativity? And I would hope, it's mostly women here today, that says something too. Not gonna go there, but I would hope that you would stand up for your sisters and your brothers. Do not let them fall unnecessarily to foolishness out here, because it's a lot out here. And we're trying to correct it in our different veins of work, right? But we have to change some things that we're doing. And what got me about Joseph Jenkins Roberts is that he had the forethought, born not as a slave, but his mama was a slave. he had the forethought in the early 1800s to go back to Africa before Marcus Garvey ever was born to even say that. Because he saw what was around him. Okay, he may not have been a slave. He was considered a freed man, but he still didn't have the rights of white people. Okay? He had to navigate. But I just applaud the mind that God gave him early on as a young man. Let me get up out of this place. They're not going to do me right. And they looking for freed men. That's why they established the police, to come get us, bring us back in. We have got to do better. We have got to stop doing this and come together, because we are stronger together. My plight is your plight. Like Dr. Chichi said, her family is from the Igbo tribe, right? Princess Ajuwazi, her family is from Benin, Togo. I can't tell you what tribe, but I'm just saying. And I'm Ghana, you know? And so, but people don't realize when Europe came in, the way Africa is divided is not how it was. So that's why you see so much lineage, and like she said, her from Sierra Leone way of Ghana, they just took what land they wanted. They didn't care what tribes or what people they were cutting across. They didn't know. They didn't care. And so we have to understand our plight is one and the same. Don't miss it. Don't miss this. Because we have an opportunity as leaders to do better. What he say? One can chase 10,000, two can chase 20. Right. So it only takes one great leader. What Dr. Griffin has started here is amazing, right? It's absolutely amazing. What she is doing in this area. I've not known a place that she has lived that she hasn't got in there, turned the community upside down. People, all the folks be talking about it, and mostly our folks, but they do. Cheryl, where you move, Lynchburg, Roanoke area, them jokers didn't know what to do with her. They didn't know what to do with her. And so we have stayed in contact, and even when we weren't in contact, this is what I can say. I know my sister is never against me. You know what I'm saying? And wise counsel. If I need to call her, I can get wise counsel. If she calls me, I can get I can give her wise counsel, because I trust that she understands. And what we do is we do the wrong thing. We go out and put it out here on Facebook, and we have arguments with folks that we don't even know. It don't even matter. It's not even important. So I want to just say, there are some two proverbs I want to talk about. It's a proverb that a Liberian proverb and an American one. Where did I put it at? Hold on. And I just wanted to say, yes, the Liberian proverb says, if you want to know the end of a story, you must first remember how it began. So she gave us some history about Joseph Jenkins Roberts. We need to understand that. And then the American proverb says, we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us, right? We do. There's some great people that came before us and have done so much work, and it's being torn down now. It's like they didn't even exist. You know, I had to tell some younger people when Jesse Jackson died, I said his life work is not on social media, because social media wasn't around when he was out there being a boss. Y'all don't understand, because this is where you get all your information from. Read up on that man. And I told him, I said, if you knew anything, and then it was like, well, why they made his funeral political or whatever. You know why? Because he was a political person. Politics and economics go together. Power and wealth go together. He was so vital that the Democratic Party was so afraid of that this man would win the nomination for president as the first black man. They did so much behind the scenes, and I call it the Dixiecrats. I'll say what y'all want, but they made it possible that he came in second in 88. 84 was just the first one, but 88, he was getting ready to win that thing. They made it so that he didn't win it. They played a little trickery. Paul Simon from Illinois got out the race after South Carolina and Super Tuesday. Jesse Jackson killed him in the South. Just went right through him. And this is an important lesson for us to learn. Voting matters. And Illinois was coming up next after Super Tuesday. They asked Paul Simon to get back in the race so he couldn't win Illinois, the state of Illinois, because that was going to really clinch it for him. Because he used to be governor or something of that state. He got back in just for that one state so that he could pull him down. It's the Democratic Party. But he made them look at themselves, because I call them the Dixiecrats. Still a lot of them up in there now. Y'all better know. They not all, they might say Democrat or whatever. Check these people's record. Know what they stand for. You gotta get out here and you gotta understand that if you don't vote, that you have no voice. And I don't care what black person tells me that they don't vote and whatever reason they have not to vote. I don't even care. I don't even care. Because like I said, if you don't, you see what we got in there right now, right? Just think, the other day, Jasmine Crockett lost her bid for Senate. You know why? Guess who didn't vote? People look like us. She lost by 144,000 votes. That might sound like a lot. Houston got over 1 million black people by themselves. Only 189,000 people voted. That's altogether black, white. But they had another 1 million just black folks did vote. Dallas County, the same thing. So what am I saying? We are our own worst enemy. We are our own worst enemy. There's no way that woman should have lost. No way. No way. And they arguing over it now, but it was just a plot. We didn't get out and vote again. And guess what? This Save Act, I just got to educate us real quick that they trying to pass up here to say that about voter IDs and all that. That's poll tax. That's Jim Crow, 2.3. I ain't gonna say 2.0, 2.3. And I'm coming here today because this man's legacy, he was about progress. He was about moving forward. He could see what we didn't see back then, right? So I'm talking about what I can see now that a lot of us don't see. But if we don't start getting together as a people and being a people, understand that we are valuable. We are worthy. We are worthy. We are worthy. Okay? We are not still 3/5 of a person. And we need to act like it. And we need to come together. And we need to stop having our arguments in public and on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And sit down at the table and find out what's going on. What's making you tick that you're so upset that you want to come against your sister or brother. Stop doing this, people. We have got to do better. And if we don't do better, as you can see, might not even be an election this fall. But that's where we headed. So I'm just telling y'all. So Virginia, we got an important vote going on now. If y'all don't know, y'all vote yes.
By April 21st.
Yes, by April 21st. Yes. And what I'm saying is, he said, I need 5 more seats in Texas. And they gave him the go ahead with it. Supreme Court, everybody. So guess what? If all the blue states do that, they'll never have Congress again. Never. Never, ever, ever. So Virginia is a blue state now. We need to act accordingly. I'm not so for the 2-party system, but it is what we got. So we got to work with what we got till we can do better. But this, I am going to be counted. I'm not going to be subjugated to Jim Crow laws. I got to have a passport. I got to have this. I got to have all these things in order to vote. Not gonna happen. So that's what that Save Act does. It's actually literally limiting those who can vote. Get on these things. These are important. This man's legacy, and it's so sad. When I started reading about him, I was like, this is phenomenal. This man, he almost like a prophet, right? Because he could see his future ahead of him. That it wasn't here. That it wasn't here. It was not here, and he didn't want to stay here. And then he went over there and changed the whole country of Liberia. Literally changed the country, made it into a country after they pushed the Europeans out. And y'all do know, Africa has told Europe and America, we don't need y'all. We have everything we need. Now, so y'all will understand that's why they bombed Nigeria. They just wanted the oil out of there. But I'm saying, it wasn't that he cared, come about some Christians were being persecuted. What in the world? He don't even know what that word means. He don't. But I'm just saying, we have to be bold enough to speak the truth of what's going on in our communities. And our communities are hurting the worst right now. So I want us to come together. I know I've talked a long time. I know I've talked about a lot of things, but I think it's important that whoever is present, that you can take this back to somebody else and help them. And so I'm hoping that the wisdom of our ancestors begin to guide our path. And may the strength of our history give us courage. And may the spirit of unity continue to connect Africa and her global family for generations to come. Meaning that I want us to come together, not because that's the plan of the enemy, to separate us. He's done a good job, done a great job. But we have an opportunity just with what we have in here. You touch this one, I touch 10, 20 people. She can touch 20, 50 people. We can touch some people with what we know and what we're learning. And then we're in a spot of a bookstore, of an African-American bookstore. Come in and take advantage of this. What's the name of the store?
Resist.
Huh?
Resist.
I love that name.
Resist
Bookstore in Petersburg, Virginia. If you don't know, go online and look it up. Get you a book. Read about somebody. He got books, everything in here, written by us, giving our true story, not somebody else's story, not a made-up story to discard our history. And I just want to encourage us that everywhere you go, tell the truth about it. Call a thing a thing. Stop being afraid that I don't care. When I just ran for office, I don't care what the people thought. I had to tell the truth because she messed with my community. And they told me they didn't need to come to the black community because they already can count on us to either not vote, so I ain't had to worry about it. Or if we vote, we're going to vote Democratic. So they don't even care. I ran as an independent. They didn't even care because they could shove us away. Look what happened. I mean, election results showed it. Jasmine, she couldn't get, you know how many people, I mean, I'm just so hurt by that, but it just says so much about who we are and where we're going. And so we got to stop that because now we at an impasse. We think we could change the trajectory of where we go from here. Mm-hmm. It starts with each one of us. Whatever world you want to see, I need you to be that person to ignite a fire in somebody and say, hey, I ain't accepting this. And I don't have a lot more to say, but I just wanted to thank everybody for being here. I know I've talked a long time, but every chance I get to talk to our people, I want us to understand that we got some things to learn and we got some work to do. And I'm giving y'all a charge. I hope I've encouraged or inspired somebody to do something different. Be something different. Give some more of yourself. Okay? I just think that we done it. Thank you.
This has been really good, guys. I want to veggie back on something she said about Hampton Roads. When I lived there, I had a chance to teach a class at Hampton University on the contraband slaves.
And you are very connected because she knew one of the family members is real good friends with Miss Winters. So she was connected in with that project. But I had a chance.
My husband's family.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
was it?
Her husband is my cousin.
Yeah.
I knew this much, but I didn't know that guys were related. So, the term contraband refers to a pivotal moment in American Civil War that occurred in Hampton, Virginia, not in California, which changed the course of history for enslaved people in the United States. It centers on Fort Monroe, which became as Freedom Fortress. The contraband decision on May 23rd, 1861, 3 enslaved men, Frank Baker, James Townsend, and Shepard Mallory. So when I taught the class at Hampton University, I used to call them Rashad, Meshach, and a bad Negro. They escaped from a Confederate camp and rowed a boat to Fort Monroe, which was held by the Union. So, no matter what history is given to us orally, we do have to research our history because we had black Confederate soldiers. We even have a graveyard that's across from, is it Bon Secours? Is that the hospital?
Yeah.
So it's probably, the grass has grown back up on it, I'm sure. Because when I was teaching a class on the contraband enslaved, one of the founders of the Contraband Society challenged me to go over to that graveyard and check on it. So when I went to check on it, all the weeds and stuff was up. So I had a chance to talk to them. We then had a black president of Bon Secours. So she had them to pull all the weeds and stuff down, y'all. So you can actually go in. People stole a lot of the headstones from that graveyard, but it's a black Confederate gravestone. So we in Petersburg also have some black Confederates up here at, what's our, do you know our, who's in here from Petersburg? Or sir, you from Petersburg?
I'm from Richmond. I just moved.
Oh, okay.
Can I intervene too?
Uh-huh.
That is DJ Jagar from the radio station in Richmond.
Oh, Mr. Famous Man. Okay, yeah. We know you, Mr. Famous Man. Yeah, so anyway, I don't know. It's not coming to me right now, y'all, but we do have a gravesite here, and it's split. So you got the white people over here, the black people over here. But we have some black Confederate soldiers that are also buried here. So I just wanted to leave that with you guys and say thank you so much for coming out today. We got a couple more minutes that we can share this space. He has books here, everybody. So I don't know what everybody, if you have books or not, but at least buy one if you can. At least buy one book from this guy. And he has journals too. So that is the end of our highlight in talking about Robert Jenkins Robertson. And we know we got work to do in Petersburg. We got work to do. But we got some people that's going to be able to do the work. But I also want to leave a challenge with everybody. We are our brothers and sisters keeper. We really are. And a lot of us know the issues and we know what to do. So we can't keep talking about somebody else should solve our problems. We can solve our own problems because we know what the issues are. Because it's somebody's son, somebody's cousin, somebody's brother that we can do that. And right now, there's a lot going on around gun violence. And we just have to come together as a community is what we have to do. So thank you everybody for coming out. You have food over here. We already said the prayer. Grab your food. Have a wonderful evening. And thank y'all so much for coming out.